Hi everyone. So if you've been watching my vlogs for the past couple of weeks, about 2 months or so, I hit kind of a very low. Um, and I started a new medication yesterday. And I'm already feeling its impact in a good way. So I wanted to come on to let you know, like, I'm better. It's only been like a day, not even a day. It's been like 12 hours or something. Yes, my glasses broke. This is just like indicative of what life has been like the past 2 months. So it's funny because I did this series thing on the Zometa infusions because that's such a hot topic. And the Luprons, I would just kind of do a vlog about like each time I had it done, and it was like this big countdown to when the Luprons were done. And just the brief thing, if you're just catching up to this. So I was diagnosed, where are we now? It's like August, September, October, November, December, January, February. 2.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 1, several tumors, estrogen and progesterone positive, HER2 negative, had a double mastectomy with reconstruction, another surgery, one more to come, I think. But anyway, the fact that it was hormone fueled, when I found out that it was estrogen and progesterone positive, well, I don't even know if it was that. I think it was even before that, actually. I honestly don't even remember the timing. I feel like as soon as I found out that I had breast cancer and my gynecologist found out, or she was the one who told me, I don't even remember, honestly. It's all kind of a blur, and I could look back at the gateway to see. But I had a Mirena IUD at the time. Basically, the chunk of what I'm talking about today is the Lupron and what happens when you're off of Lupron. Because I thought when I was off of Lupron, it would be like, woohoo, let's have this party. And it was that way for about 2 months, and then it wasn't. And then my understanding from the doctors is that I started going through withdrawal symptoms from not having the Lupron in my body anymore. And I think I had a Zometa infusion at about the 3-month mark of being off the Lupron. And typically I have the Lupron and the Zometa at the same time. But since I was off the Lupron, I didn't have that with Zometa. And my body is very sensitive to medications. So I think that when I had the Zometa infusion and there was no Lupron to go with it, my body was like, what's going on? And then something happened inside. I'm still trying to understand what, or I should say I'm putting it in the pockets of the professionals to try to understand what happened. But the end result is like it put me in a very depressive funk, like in a place that I've never been in my entire life. And that's why my vlogs were behind. I was kind of hiding. I'm feeling better, so I don't want to cry, because even like I took the pill yesterday, but it's not like taking a pill one day is going to solve the problem. So I noticed this pattern of stuff happening, and like with this whole, so the Mirena, by the way, I had a Mirena, and it was pulled out or removed when I found out about the cancer, because Mirena emits hormones. And when you have breast cancer, you don't want to have hormones because cancer cells take hormones as food and grow, and we don't want them to grow. So they removed my Mirena, and the Mirena was there primarily to control bleeding. After my second child, particularly, like my periods got out of hand. And then I know some people stop getting their periods when they take Mirena. When they have a Mirena, I was not one of those people, but I could see that I was becoming perimenopausal for a few years. My periods were like spread out. I remember like I was only needing panty liners, which is great, and I'm like, oh, I'm like going through the process right now of all that stuff. But when they pulled the Mirena out, the bleeding was out of control, to the point that like I couldn't get off the couch. It was just awful. Non-functional, kind of awful. And I was on leave from work at the time, so it's not like it impacted that at all. But I remember thinking, like, I'm going to go into surgery to have my double mastectomy, and how's that going to happen if I have my period? Because there's going to be like blood everywhere. Sorry, gross, but whatever, that's what it is. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, they'll just have to figure it out, I don't know. And honestly, I can't even remember now if I had my period during my surgery or not. It doesn't matter. The point is that they pulled it out. My bleeding was like out of control, so something had to be done, because I literally couldn't get off the couch without having like blood clots just like come out. And that's not because of the cancer or anything. I had or have had, I don't know, adenomyosis, and that was what the clotting was. That happened after I had my second child. So yeah, so the solution was to start with the Lupron injections. And Lupron is prescribed by, like, I've come across a lot of people since I started being on it who were on Lupron for a variety of reasons. I didn't realize that Lupron was part of like the whole IVF thing. Maybe not all the time, but because its goal basically is to suppress your ovaries. So if you suppress your ovaries, you're not getting periods anymore. So I didn't have periods after I had the Lupron, which was great because that was what was supposed to happen. And on a cancer end of things, it's a good thing if you don't have your periods, because then it means there's no hormones. And I was already perimenopausal, so this is just kind of, the Lupron pushed me into a chemical menopause, like right away. I mean, my period stopped. So it was convenient because I could wear white pants whenever I wanted to, and I didn't have to worry about like, oh, I'm bloated because my period's coming. Like, my period hasn't come. I haven't had one in, well, since I started the Lupron 2.5 years ago. So the gynecologist was the one who prescribed the Lupron, and she said, let's do it for 2 years and then like see where I am with regular menopause, because I was 49 when I was diagnosed, so it was about that time anyway. So I had the double mastectomy. So I was diagnosed in July of 2021. I had the double mastectomy in August 2021. I started tamoxifen in September of 2021. I started the, oh, interesting. No, I started the Lupron in October of 2021. So maybe they yanked it out after my surgery? I don't even remember, honestly, whatever. And then the Zometa started in December of 2021. But my point is just that there's a lot of medications that were starting at a pretty close period of time. So it was hard to decipher the side effects of each drug when you have them, October, November, and then December. It's like they're all squashed together, plus the healing of having the double mastectomy in the first place. There's a lot of moving pieces, and it's hard to know what to blame for what. I did notice when I got off the Lupron, I ended up doing 26 injections. I was doing the monthly ones. And then I did the Zometa treatments, or I do the Zometa treatments every 6 months, and then for 3 years. So I have one more treatment left. Knowing now about this withdrawal stuff, I wonder if I'll have withdrawal symptoms from the Zometa, but I can't even think about that right now. And overall, like, my body is just very sensitive to drugs anyway. Someone can take a 20 milligram pill, and if I take 10 milligrams, I'm like, whoa. So I know my body well enough at this point to, like, whatever, the casual Joe does, like, is usually a little too extreme for me. So I did the 26 Lupron injections. I celebrated so much when I was done because I'm like, I'm done. Close that book. No, hang on a second. Don't quite close it. Even that kind of humor shows you that what I took last night has been working. This morning I woke up and I was like, woohoo! I haven't felt like woohoo in a very long time. Anyway, I have routinely seen an oncology psychologist since I was diagnosed. I think I started off with a social worker because at the time, the social worker, there was a lot of businessy things that had to get squared away, and it was just too much for me to keep track of. I'm a single parent. My kids are relatively grown and flown. Like one's in college. He comes home for breaks and, well, I mean, he's still home, he's just at college. But my older one has his own place and stuff. So, it's just me here. So I have to really be my own advocate as to what's going on, because I don't, other than like work and when I see my friends, I don't have someone consistently who's seeing how I'm acting or if things are different. So I did the 26 Lupron injections. I was all excited when it was done. And I only did the 26 to 24 because the runway for recovery show was in October, and I didn't want to have my period for runway. I wanted to be like pampered and enjoy that night for what it was, with no concern about having my periods coming back. So I did 26 months, and then stopped. And then no one gave me a heads up that like I should be concerned about anything at all. Which after last week, which was a crazy week for me, I get that like they're not going to tell you all the things that possibly could happen, because there's almost like a psychosomatic aspect to it that like, will those things happen then because it's in your head that those things should happen. I don't know how I feel quite about that. Because I wish I had a slight heads up that there are symptoms of withdrawal things. And I'm not actually 100% sure if that's even what it is. My gynecologist called yesterday, but I was asleep. I really sucks that I missed your call because I adore her and I really wanted to hear her 2 cents about everything since she's the one who prescribed the Lupron. But hopefully I'll hear from her early next week to see what's going on. So I was doing okay. I my periods didn't come back. I was happy to not have to go in for the stupid shots. There was a very cyclical pattern that was happening with the Luprons over time, which was a large part too why I was like, nope, I need to stop what I'm supposed to stop, because my oncologist wanted me to keep going. She wanted me to stay on the Lupron, but I was noticing I was getting very aggressive about like a week and a half before the Lupron. Like I was just snippy and short, and I would get these like almost testosterone boosts and stuff, and it was just not a good thing. And then I would get super down, but I would know that like once I had the Lupron, I could give it a couple of days and then I'd be back to like regular Jen and it was fine. So there was like over time, it took me a while to realize that pattern, but I saw the pattern. And then when I was off, I mean, granted, I had runway, so of course I'm on that high of excitement from runway, and then it's the holidays and, Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff and New Year's, and that's distracting. And I feel like once I don't really know, but I feel like I had my 5th Zometa in January. And like I said, maybe because I had the Zometa without the Lupron, that was enough to kick my body into noticing that like, hey, Lupron's gone, something's going on. I was in a very, very dark, depressed state. Like I had anxiety issues for a while over various things. Like I have been open that I went through a pretty messy divorce long time ago. I mean, it's been 10 years at this point. but I've done all the things, like, or I do all the things that you know are supposed to do to, you know, to get help for those things. I meditate, I exercise, I I have my crystals, I you know, like all these things that you can do to put yourself in a good mindset. I do those things. I see the psychologist, although like our sessions started spreading out more because I'm like, I'm doing well and I don't really have that much to talk about anymore because not much is changing, or it's not really anything new. Like I have to learn how to like my new body, but I started going to the gym and work with a trainer and stuff, and that's a whole like program thing. And I am noticing like change, not so much number wise with weight, but I am noticing like my torso, it looks better than it did before. Like I look down and I don't see my belly first. I actually see my boobs now instead, which is great. But I'd come home and I'm like on the couch, curled up in the corner, and like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to do the laundry. I don't want to like get up and do stuff. I'll be on my phone for 3 hours playing some stupid game when I know I have shit I need to get done. And to be like that once in a while is one thing, but then it was going on for a while. And I'm like, this isn't me. And it's hard with like the pandemic is, you know, not like totally gone. I feel like I mean, definitely changed the world. It changed relationships with people. The people that were my closest friends when I was diagnosed, I don't hear from some of them anymore. And I have, thank God, thank God, it took me a while before I was ready to join any sort of cancer support group. But I did, if you're local, I did the Paving the Path to Wellness program through MGH, through their cancer center. And there's a group of women, all who have had breast cancer, that we were Zooming every 2 weeks, and now we started a text chain where we can touch base more frequently than just every 2 weeks. And they get it. And it took a long time for me to be able to put myself in that club, because I didn't want to be in the breast cancer club. I you know, didn't want that to be my identity, but like, lo and behold, that is what's going on with me. And they understand and they get it in a way that nobody else could. Your closest friend can try to understand, but unless you've been through it, you don't really understand. And even all our journeys are different. Some of them have been on Lupron, some have not. Some have had double mastectomies, some have not. You know, many have had chemo. I did not. But they understand. And I am extraordinarily grateful for that group, because they were the ones that didn't let it go when I'm like, I'm not doing great. This isn't me. I don't know what's happening, and I don't want to stay in this place, and I don't know how to get out of it, because I'm trying all the strategies I know that typically work, and they're not working. I'm hiking. I'm doing things that normally would bring me joy. I'm acting in a short film right now. That should be fun for me. And while I smile and laugh sometimes when I'm there, the connection between that and the chemicals in my head that would create like dopamine or whatever to make me joyful, it's just not connecting. And I don't understand why. And I'm not a med person at all. And I understand that there's only a certain point you get to where it's like, I don't know what more to do, and I need help. So that group, they helped me put together a message to put in the gateway to reach out to oncology and to my gynecologist. Because I went for a physical, and I just broke down at the physical, because she's like, what's been going on the past year? And I hadn't seen her since even before the flooding. And then there's all that stuff to process. But I just broke down, and I'm like, I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. I am extraordinarily resilient. But I'm like, I'm in a place right now that I don't recognize, and I don't want to like be in this place. I need help to get out of this place because I don't understand what's happening. And then it was another doctor who said that to him, it sounded like I was going through withdrawal symptoms from the Lupron. That like it was, it takes some time for it to leave your body. And it's been 4 months that I've been off of the Lupron. And I noticed all this stuff happening about like 6 weeks-ish ago. So timing-wise, that seemed to make sense. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't know all these things. I'm still putting the pieces together because this is still new, and I'm trying, we are on a path now to figure out what's going on and how to best help me. And no one talks about this. And it's hard to talk about this stuff, especially on YouTube where everyone can see. But the message that I'm trying to like relay here is like to go get the help when you just don't know what else to do. And not just from one place, because I tried reaching out to like my old go-tos. Well, my old go-tos didn't work for me after the cancer diagnosis. And even when it comes to doctors, my old go-tos, that wasn't working for me either. This time when I reached out, like, I need help. But when oncology hears that, and my gynecologist hears that, and my internist really stepped up, I feel like we bonded a lot more after the diagnosis. My internist really stepped up to be like, we can't shove this under the rug. Like, this is not her. Something is going on. And she could have prescribed something right then and there. It's just that you don't know what's causing this stuff. And it's trying to piece together all the little things to see, okay, if we give her some sort of medication, what kind of medication should we give her to address this? I mean, she could prescribe any like antidepressant or something, but that might not be the best fit for what's going on, especially if it's linked to the Lupron coming off of that with the hormonal aspect. Like, and so you certainly don't want there to be some like, cross whatever, like messing up with the medications I'm already on. So anyway, so things really started flowing last week. Doctors talking to each other about me. Lots of phone calls, lots of messages in the gateway. It was an overwhelming, absolutely. And then they finally figure. I got a call. Oh my God, I got a call. I got a call on my way into work by the oncology psychiatry team. And I've said for several months that I thought maybe it was time that I at least maybe touch base with them, because I feel like something else is going on here. And everyone, maybe I just put on a good game face, I don't know, or I have gotten through so much already that they had all this faith in me that I'll get through this too. So it hasn't actually been a reality. And now I'm just like, I am waving my white flag here. Like, who wants to go see a psychiatrist? No offense to psychiatrists, but I don't. But what you want and what you need are two different things. So their office called me. The oncology psychologist was the one who talked to them. So that was the route of things that went through. And they called me, and I don't know if it was a nurse. I was distracted when the phone rang. You see, Boston, it could be one of a billion different doctors. And she talked to me and asked me all these questions about how I was feeling. And she was so on the money with exactly how I was feeling. And I've heard this from people that haven't been on Lupron, that are just on, but that are on tamoxifen, that say like they just feel flat. They feel kind of emotionless. Like they go about their day-to-day stuff. They do things that they know should bring them joy, but there's just nothing. There's no feeling at all. Or if there is feeling, it's sad feeling. Like there's no good feeling at all. And so that's why I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's causing this. I don't know if it's the tamoxifen. I don't know what it is. But timing wise, there's been no change with the tamoxifen. It makes sense to me that it would be something Lupron based. Regardless, I had a really good conversation with her on the phone. Very validating for what I was feeling. And then I'm like, if you knew all these things were going to be things, then why didn't anyone give me a heads up like 6 weeks ago when I started going through all this stuff? Maybe they just figured to give it some time. I don't know. I don't know. So got off the phone with them, and then someone else called to actually schedule the appointment. So I have an appointment in 2 weeks with the oncology psychiatrist for the first time. And like going into Boston is always such a headache, but I'm like, I would rather go there to see them in person, because I mean, now that things are well, I say letting up, but there is a mask mandate again in the hospitals because of COVID. I don't have to wear a mask, but the doctors and whoever else does. But I would rather see somebody in person for them to see my face. It's not the same thing as through Zoom. And go from there. But in the meantime, I said, that's still a couple of weeks away, and I don't want to wait a couple of weeks like this. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. I don't like how I'm being around people. Other people are making comments about how, like, just testy I've been, and that needs to be taken care of. That's just not a way to be. And that's when I said the medication thing. And I know a long list of medications I've tried that don't work or didn't work for me, that I tried like years ago when I went through my divorce. So they prescribed a medication for me. I don't need to go into what that is because, like, TMI, even though you think that I'm super open on this, but I don't need to get into that much of my medical history. And plus, because if like you are going through this, the medications are so different for each person that you have to reach out to your medical professionals, because everyone's different. Everyone's body is different. Your path is different. The meds you've been on is different. Things you can tolerate and what you can't are different. You have to reach out to your people to see what the best thing is for you. But it takes balls, man. It takes balls to make that fucking phone call. And it takes humility when, like, you text your friends and you're like, I don't even know what to write. I don't know what to say. I can't formulate my thoughts. My brain is mush right now. I don't know what to say. And that was when my friend stepped up and literally wrote stuff to put into the gateway. And then I hit the character limit, and I'm like, well, now what? So I started erasing stuff, and I'm like, but that's how I feel. So I ended up sending 2 messages because it didn't all fit in one. Whatever. Are they going to get annoyed by me? I don't care. The point needs to come across that, like, I'm asking for help, and, like, I don't want to just get put into a pile of papers, like, to get to. Anyway, so then they finally called in a script on Friday. Of course, it always happens on Friday. And then the pharmacy texts me that they're out of stock because welcome to 2024. This is just how things are. They've been this way, where there's issues with, it's not that there's a shortage of the meds, it's that there's a shortage of the supply chain. Oh my gosh, that was why I didn't even get my freaking couch on time. That's why I got this chair. Because when I moved to this apartment, I couldn't even get my couch because they're like, oh yeah, we have it, but supply chain issues, we can't get it to you. And it took like so long to get the couch that I'm like, I need to sit on something. I had no furniture when I moved here. Like, everything was like destroyed. And I got in my freaking car and I drove to IKEA and I got this chair, which if you watched my old vlogs, it's the same as the orange chair or red chair, whatever color you think it was, that I used to have. And I put it together myself, which was not super easy because I was still healing from surgery. And yeah, I got the ottoman to go with it. And when I was at IKEA, it dawned on me, like, will this even fit in my car? I didn't even think about that. It did. Just barely, but it did. Anyway. So yeah, they said they weren't going to be able to get it for 1 to 2 business days with it being a Friday. Then I'm like, well, that brings me to like Monday or Tuesday. It's supposed to rain here for the next week. So I'm like, I don't want to wait that long. So I called, I tried to call them to see if they could switch to another pharmacy, though that would require a drive to Boston, which I didn't really have the time for on Friday. But anyway, I called a closer pharmacy. I called a CVS that was closer to me, and they did have it in stock. And then it was a matter of getting the script from the other pharmacy, which took time. And I'm like, I don't have time. You guys, this closes at 5 o'clock, and I can't go into the weekend without having this right now. So I just kept calling, and I never called the other one back because I called 2 different towns of CVS's. I never called the other one back, but whatever, it's fine. I ended up calling my internist and asking her to just rewrite the script for the new pharmacy, not the one that she originally sent it to. The reason I'm giving you the play-by-play on this is, like I said, these vlogs have been, yes, helpful for me, but it's similar to like when I did my talk show and stuff. I don't want other people to be in this place and not know how to get out of it, not know a path to wellness. And that's why I'm so open on these vlogs, because people don't talk about this stuff enough. I get that I'm like putting my life out there pretty much. But when I get the responses, the comments from those of you that watch, and I know that I'm helping any of you, like, it means so much to me. It means so much to me because this whole journey could just be so lonely and hard. You got big ass decisions to make. And when you're on your own, like, you're the person making them. And sometimes you just freeze and you don't know what to do. And while I talk about all the people that like disappeared after I was diagnosed, you know, here I am 2.5 years out, and there are other people that I've become closer with, or new people that I've found who I'm so grateful is such an understatement for having them in my life. They're my cheerleaders, they're my sisters, they're the people that keep me going and remind me of who I am, and those friends of mine have known me for a long time, and you know who you are because you're the ones I text or call at like 2 a.m. or tell me that I can call you at 2 a.m. if I need to. Like, they're my home. They're my base. And it takes a while to find that again. You at least for me, you have your family, your core when you're going into all this stuff. And then just, people leave and there's like a void. But just know that void, it gets filled by people not on your radar. I mean, some might have been on your radar, but like people not on your radar just like step in. And you are so worthy of having those people step in and take that help, even if it's me, take what I'm saying and internalize it, that you are worth the fighting for. You are worth annoying the shit out of your doctors with messages on the gateway, because it's your life that we're talking about here. And getting to a life that makes you happy and fulfilled is just everything. And often you have to put yourself in tough situations to be able to get what you need. That feeling after you're diagnosed and you don't know like what stage you are, what your path is, or what the hell's going to happen, or am I going to be here 3 months from now? You know, it gives you this weird like get out of jail free card where you feel like you can say or do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter because you don't even know what's going to happen. And I feel like that was kind of back to where I was last week, where I'm like, well, what are they going to be pissed off that I'm emailing them so much or messaging them so much in the gateway? Okay, let them be mad. The point is to get me help. And if you're so annoyed because you're mad, that I'll switch to somebody else, but at least the, you know, balls are rolling and people are talking to each other, and let's like move forward. And same thing with friends, and same thing with doctors. Like there's more than one doctor, you know, you can go out there and find someone else. If someone's not working for you, you don't have to settle for someone that's not working for you. You could find somebody else. And this person they connected me with at MGH is like she seems like some pretty big hotshot. So that's great. Hopefully she's got good people skills. I imagine she does because her reviews are fantastic. But it was just the point to get in there. So that's where I am right now. I'll go get these fixed, but I'm not driving today because on the meds and stuff, I feel a little bit more settled now. But this morning I was like, woohoo! It was like I had like 4 margaritas or something. And I'm a bit more settled now, but I don't want to get behind the wheel of a car feeling like this. So I'm staying home today. I might just like walk someplace once it stops raining. But yeah, so I just checking in, like, and the other thing too is they started me on a higher dosage of what I'd been on this med before, but I went off of it around the time that I got diagnosed because I just like I was feeling okay at the time, and I'm like, you know, I don't need to. I don't know. I didn't even know why I was still on it, so I stopped taking it, and I mean, controlled, stopped taking it. I weaned myself off with the guidance of a doctor. But same thing, like they prescribed, they're like start at 25 and go up to 50. And I'm like, whoa, 50. Like I didn't get beyond 25 when I was on this like before. I'm like, no. We need to like rewind and go to like 12 and a half or something. So again, standing up for myself, I'm like, I'm not starting on 25. I don't need to be like, whoa, like on the couch, like a mess. I still have to go through life. I still have to get my taxes done. Like I'm not going to do 25 milligrams. So I cut the pill in half, and that's what I took last night. So know your body too, and what works for you, what you know works for you, and you know, communicate that. I did communicate to the doctors, and you know, she said like, okay, you know, do the 12 and a half and then work your way up. I'm like, okay. All right, so I'm going to chill for a little while longer before I get to my taxes because I just need to settle down a little bit. But it's almost like the fog that I had and the overwhelm and stuff. It's not like it's cleared. I just feel like this sounds so like woohoo. I feel like I'm in this like meadow right now. That like I was like going through this forest with like one of those whacker things to create my path, and all, you know, like that scene in Snow White where she's like trying to get through the forest and all the limbs are smashing her in the face and stuff. That's what I felt like I was trying to find a way of getting out, and finally brought together my band of people, and now like I'm just like in this meadow of like there's nothing here. There's just like meadow. Maybe a slight sound of birds in the background. But enough that like I got up this morning and I looked in my kitchen and I'm like, damn girl, you need to do some friggin' dishes and clean up this place a bit. So cleared off a quarter of my counter and did some dishes. Had a good breakfast this morning. And just taking it easy today. Have a headache a little bit, but it's been a pretty intense week, so it makes sense that I have a headache. Interestingly, I've been extremely productive at work. It's so different with like the way your brain functions. part of why I like numbers so much. There's not a lot of debate when it comes to numbers and and what I do. And if anything, it just sounds weird, but like when I see other people, like I was around a group of people yesterday, and there was one person there that was so anxious and so like I could just see him like freaking out about stuff. And I'm like, dude, like you need to stop and just breathe. Like just stop and just breathe. Like it'll all be good. Just breathe. Life is crazy, man. All right, I'm gonna enjoy my iced coffee over there. I'll call later on and get these things fixed. Don't leave your glasses on your bed, boys and girls, because you go to make your bed and go like this with your sheets, and then all of a sudden the side of your glasses comes off, and that's a problem. Alrighty. So this is where like the strip would come up if I was editing this professionally, that like if you need help and you're going through trouble, like reach out. And if it's an emergency, you know, dial 911, all those things. Just don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, you're worth it. And it's amazing how, again, I'm not a big med person, but a half a frickin' pill that's like the size of a grain of rice, and I feel better today than I have like in a bit. And sometimes you just need that, whether it's long-term or not. It doesn't matter. For right now, it's like, let's do day by day and see where we are. On a high note, my hair looks great. Like when I put on my makeshift glasses, I tried to get the other part on, it just wouldn't stay. I put on my glasses and I got my roots done yesterday. I didn't even have this part colored. I just had my roots done, but I don't know if she put something in it to make it shiny or something, but look how glorious. Like I was like, oh, should I go back to highlights? And I'm like, no, I kind of like my regular hair color. Like it's pretty awesome. And she did like this twirly stuff, and yeah, I'm not even supposed to like wash it for a couple of days because like my grays come back pretty quickly, and I need to keep the dye on it for a couple of days before I wash it. But like it looks pretty cool. Like look how shiny, you know? I have good hair. And I can see that I'm losing some weight too. Again, not according to the numbers on the scale, but I can tell just the way my clothes are fitting that I'm losing weight. So they're good things. All right. Until next time, everyone. Bye.